Welcome everyone to Life Happened, the place where people send in their very personal life stories for us to share with you. You can make a huge difference in their lives by sharing your feelings and advice for them in the comments below. My name is Emma, your host, and this story is from Wendy. Dear Emma, on my 30th birthday, I was in Paris with my boss. We had a few contracts to close, but I knew it wasn't just that. He had booked 2 rooms and wanted to give me a present. So he took me to the Chanel store and told me to buy whatever I wanted. I was stunned, but he insisted. Because of him, I would have bought the entire store. I chose a bag and a pair of shoes. That night during dinner came the declaration of love. He said, I am the woman he had dreamt of 10 days before seeing me at the job selection interview for the first time. Before I got the job, I lived with Patrick, my boyfriend, for about 2 years and was going through a crisis. He was depressed. He had lost his father and his job as a designer at the same time. I thought the grief would pass, but it didn't. He spent the day in his pajamas without any strength, and precisely at this stage, I was dying to leave my job as it wasn't enough to pay the bills. Fortunately, a friend referred me to Carson, a businessman looking for an executive director in the technology area, my specialty. Note, your friend was kind to recommend you. I booked an interview and had a great impression of him. It was so wonderful that he said I was hired at the end of the conversation and offered me double what I was earning. Soon after, I noticed that I was stepping into his ex-wife's shoes, the mother of his children, who had been his partner. After a messy divorce, he was left with half the business and wanted to grow at any cost. I became his right-hand man. A while later, Carson invented a trip to New York and took many people from the company. We all stayed in a beautiful hotel with him, hosting spectacular dinners. He liked to show off his power, and I had to stay with him every minute. With so much excitement, I barely had time for Patrick, who was still idle. As my relationship with Carson unraveled, he grew closer. It took me a while to realize his intentions because he was seductive to everyone. Little by little, we became friends. He was aware of the dilemmas with my boyfriend and palpitated. Maybe he doesn't like you anymore. He's just used to it. Note, poor Patrick had no idea what was happening. So I decided to give Patrick an ultimatum. Either you react or I'm leaving. He was quiet, and we never got to talk about the two of us. His pride wounded, he replied, if that's what you want, go ahead. It wasn't very pleasant, and deep down I wanted him to hold me, but he didn't seem to care about me. Since the apartment was his, I decided to leave. When I mentioned that I was going to look for a house, Carson took over the reins. In a week, he got an apartment and sent an employee to fetch my bags. At that moment, I thought, wow, he's taking care of me. Note, not a good idea to heavily depend on a man you've just met. Carson was a handsome rich guy who worked out and played tennis. I admired his claw, but was afraid of his intense way. Soon he moved to another apartment in the same apartment building. The excuse was that the renovation of his house was delayed. He was only 6 years older than me, but by his side, I felt protected. So we started dating. Our first night was amazing. The chemistry rolled. Who doesn't like a rich, handsome man at their feet? On the way back, upon seeing his newly renovated mansion, I found it tacky. But I overlooked our differences. In 2 months, we were living together in a gated community full of millionaires. Note, sounds like a fairy tale. Anyway, we have a book relating to the subject matter of this letter in the description box below for your reference. I was going to decorate the house, and he put a driver at my disposal. He was jealous of me, and this was a way always to know where I was. Sometime later, he asked me to stop working. My mom raged. What about your career? Carson said she was jealous. When I stopped working, I filled my time with gym, shopping, and 1,000 art courses. Life seemed peaceful, but something was starting to go wrong. The fact that he wanted to control me ended my lust. I don't know to what extent I crashed because of some unexpected news I received. By chance, I ran into my ex-employee Petra, who started cleaning at home. I heard from her that when Patrick and I parted, he fell into depression, talking about killing himself. But what could I do? Nothing. Note, nothing? Really? Why not pick up the phone and call him? Friends in despair could use our help at times. And now would be a great time to hit the like button. Fortunately, he had healed and was even living with someone else. I had to accept it. Carson, on the other hand, never demanded passion or sex from me. Shopping and traveling are also forms of pleasure, and we were both accomplices in this, but today I know I liked it. He did everything to please me. For example, one day I said that I didn't like living in that mansion. He said, "Choose the apartment you want, I'll buy it." Note, Carson was using money as a means to buy your love and affection. On one of my trips to Texas, however, there was a turnaround. He asked me to return home soon because his ex-wife had denounced him. It was full of problems: pension, IRS, labor lawsuits. He sold my Land Rover, then he sold the mansion, putting everything under the name of an attorney. When I questioned him, he downplayed everything. When he closed the company, he opened another fancy office and stayed there until midnight. I complained, and for the first time, we had a big fight. I said I was going back to work. He saw it as a threat, called me ungrateful, and told us to split up. Note, sounds like Carson is accustomed to getting his own way and using money to do so. As I agreed, he calmed down. He was kind, and it looked like we were going to work it out, but it made me hesitate. He convinced me to leave our apartment, said he would soon buy another one and change it to my name, but we had to go to another apartment first. It was the end of the year, and he asked me not to tell my parents. I agreed, and he even helped me get a job because he had 1,000 contacts. But as soon as we moved into the apartment, he said he would spend some time at his mother's house, and he disappeared. And he didn't deposit the rent money, as he promised, and didn't answer my calls anymore. I called his mother, and to my surprise, she replied, "He went to live with the girl." I was the last to know that Carson already had another woman. I heard it was the company's receptionist, but I never investigated. Note, I think Carson was being deceitful all along. Big promises and nothing else. I never saw Carson again, and the only time we spoke on the phone, he was like, "Weren't you bored? Didn't you want to work? Now I want to see you support yourself on your salary." Then it was time to render my self-criticism. I felt stupid and used. How could I lose my autonomy, submit myself so much, thinking I couldn't even complain because I had a rich life? I fell off my horse because I betrayed my principles. I have understood that women's economic independence is fundamental. Otherwise, the woman will have to obey her husband. Note, you are absolutely correct. As soon as I got back to work, everything fell into place until last week when Patrick appeared. He wanted to be my friend on Facebook. We started talking, and he and his girlfriend have parted ways. I still love Patrick, but he wants to date and have a relationship once again. I know we never stopped loving each other, but I am afraid of washing and cleaning myself up for the new beginning. Wendy. Thank you for your letter. Now I will give my thoughts and opinions relating to Wendy's story. I would like to say that I am very happy for you and Patrick finding each other again. True love never dies. As far as Carson is concerned, he was only interested in buying his way into your life and heart. Many people become corrupted by having so much money, ruining their character, making them believe they are somehow better than others who don't have as much. Too many rich people, not all, let me be clear on that, think they can buy their way through life and expect others to follow their orders. But at the first hint of discord, they will abandon you in a heartbeat. And that's what Carson did to you. The saying goes, money is the root of all evil. Also, hopefully you won't ever allow another man to dictate how you live your life. It sounds as though you had a good, productive life before you ever met Carson, other than Patrick dragging his feet in regards to investing more into your relationship with him. You did not need a man to tell you where to live, what to do, and especially not to work. How ludicrous. Next time, please use your God-given talents to make your own decisions, and don't rely on a rich man to beguile you and take control of your life or lifestyle. You were probably just another token of pleasure to Carson, and he didn't even have the kahunas to inform you the relationship was over. What a coward, and a rich coward at that. Now, it's wonderful that you and Patrick are together again, and there's no need to be afraid of your feelings. After all what has occurred, you both realize that you still love and respect one another, and there's no need to rush into anything. Try taking your relationship at a slower pace. Learn more about one another and discuss your mutual plans for the relationship. I'd say don't give Patrick any ultimatum. It didn't work before and most likely could put a strain on your relationship. We wish you and Patrick all the best and a life filled with love and sunshine. Today's quote is, use money and love people. Don't love money and use people, by Joseph Prince. So perhaps you may have a comment, opinion, question, or answer to Wendy's story. If so, we would like to hear from you. And you can read other people's comments and opinions below relating to this letter. And remember that by liking and subscribing to Life Happened, you will hear me read letters every week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which people send us about issues they are dealing with in their lives. These are real-life personal stories and people's everyday experiences. Also, don't forget, if you have a personal story or issue which you would like to share with us, please send us an email. The email provided in the description box below. We would be very happy to hear from you. We thank you for joining us here today, where life happened. See you next time, and have a wonderful day.